So in a recent video I talked about how I am kind of branching out in the aquarium hobby, trying some different things, keeping some different types of fish, and overall just kind of exploring the hobby to just kind of have some fun and get some enjoyment out of what I'm doing. One of the struggles that I kind of bounce around in my head is what to do with my fish room and how I want to keep fish moving forward. Now before I get into that, I do want to share with you guys I did get some new fish, so there are some new additions to the fish room. Fish will get moved around. Fish got moved around recently, and I also got some fish upstairs in one of my display tanks that I was super excited about getting, and I wanted to share that with all of you. But before I get into my rant about my fish room and how I want to make some changes, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the new additions that I recently got. So starting down here in this room, in my Tanganikan tank, I got some new Calvis. I got some redfin Calvis, so I picked them up at the auction for super cheap. I think I got 4 of them, and I think I got them for like $2 a piece or something. So for some reason in my club in San Francisco, people aren't too fond of cichlids, so I was able to score and get these at a great price. In addition, I also got some other fish that are a little bit hard to find, and when you do find them, they're not inexpensive, and that is the Pseudotropheus silosi. They are in Mbuna, and I got 6 of them. Actually, originally I had 8, but I had to cull a couple. They were not doing well. There was some deformities, so I culled those, and I kept 6. So I've got those in a 40 breeder, and that's going to be kind of a breeding colony. Hopefully I have a mixture of males and females. The great thing with those is that there is some dimorphism where they are yellow or blue depending on the sex, and so I'm kind of excited to see what happens and what transpires as far as males versus females, and hopefully I can breed those. I also got some Congo tetras. I talked about wanting to put some more Congos in the Oscar tank, so I picked up some more Congo tetras. I bought all that they had at the store, and I'm probably going to go back and buy some more because I want kind of a whole school of them. Right now they're too small to go in here, so I'm going to grow those out and then put them in here once they're large enough to be able to fend for themselves and not end up as Oscar food. Talking about Oscars, as you guys know, I have 2 of them. I have Oscar, the albino tiger, and then I also have Felix. So if you guys are familiar with the TV show The Odd Couple, Oscar and Felix are the 2 guys that live together, they're roommates. So that's what we've got going on. They've been super friendly. Originally they were kind of flaring at each other and kind of, you know, not beating each other up, but there was a little bit of aggression going on. Now they are inseparable. They kind of hang out all the time. They go from, you know, one side of the tank to the other, just hanging out. So it's super cool to watch those 2. The fish that I'm most excited about sharing with you guys, and this is a fish that I have wanted for a long time. I've thought about it. I've vacillated over it. I wasn't sure if this was something I wanted to take on as far as the maintenance and everything, but I said, what the heck? I got them at the right price, free, and so I couldn't pass it up, and that is Discus. So a friend of mine, Phil from Philthy Tanks, he was in a recent video. You may have seen that video. If not, I will put a link of it up here or down there. But anyway, he had a bunch of Discus, and he said, sure, you can have some. Come on over and take what you want. So I ended up getting 6 Discus. Now, if you know Discus, they can be a little bit temperamental. They're sensitive to temperature. They're sensitive to water quality. They can be picky eaters. And all of these things were kind of weighing on me when I was thinking about getting Discus. But seeing how he kept them, knowing that they were doing fine in his systems, and knowing that my system was similar to his, same water, he lives about 5 minutes from me, so the water is the same, and also the fact that they weren't going to be as overcrowded in my tank as they were in his tank, I knew that they would be just fine. So I got them, I quarantined them, and now they are in my display tank, and they are beautiful. Not only did I want Discus, but my wife wanted Discus. Now my wife is really not a fish person. She's really not into fish at all. She kind of tolerates it. That's why most of the tanks are down here and not upstairs. But we do have a few nice display tanks, and she likes that they are beautiful and fun to look at. And I pointed out some Discus to her a long time ago and said, what do you think about these? And she fell in love with them. And whenever I would drag her into a fish store and she saw the Discus, she'd always kind of stop and say, ooh, I love them. So anyway, we got Discus. They're upstairs. She loves them. The kids love them. I love them. And they are doing well. They're eating. They're healthy. And very excited about what's going on with that planet tank. I do have one addition that's going on in the Reef tank, my Nano Reef tank. A lot of you had shared with me that I had reached out and said I had some problems problems with some coral dying back. I thought maybe a snail was irritating one of the coral. What I found out is the shrimp that I had in that tank was not reef safe, and that shrimp was actually probably attacking and eating some of the soft corals that I had, my mushroom, etc. So I got rid of that shrimp. That was a camel shrimp. I took him to the store for store credit, and I bought a cleaner shrimp. That shrimp has been doing great. The other thing that I like about the cleaner shrimp is that it's more active. It's out you know, more often than the camel shrimp was. The camel shrimp would just kind of hide all the time, and I would hardly ever see it. And this cleaner shrimp is basically walking around the tank nonstop all the time, foraging for food, etc. So tons of fun. So now I want to talk a little bit about the fish room and what's going on here, and why I want to make some changes. So originally this room was not set up to be a fish room. We were just kind of storing stuff down here, and I think I had like 4 tanks or 6 tanks, and that kind of expanded to 12 tanks to 16 tanks, and now we're like at 30 tanks or something. It always changes because I'm adding and taking away tanks, so I think I'm at 29 maybe now that I added this 125 and took away those 255 tubs. Anyway, so now we have a full fish room, central air, so everything is running off of one pump, and I heat the room, so I'm not heating individual tanks. The issue that I have is when I set this fish room up, I set it up just kind of as a working fish room, meaning that my tanks were not really display tanks. They were just kind of set up to house fish for one purpose or another. Quarantine, breeding, grow out, fry, holding tanks, you know, customer tanks, because I do have a service business as well for aquarium service. So, you know, keeping fish quarantined for customers, things like that. So that was kind of the basis for the fish room, and it just kind of evolved and grew over a period of time. And now it's at a point where I have a lot of tanks. I've had a lot of tanks for quite a while, but it is kind of weighing on me as far as the amount of work that I spend down here. So I essentially have 3 jobs. I have my normal Monday through Friday corporate gig that I have that keeps me, you know, super busy, and I'm always traveling. And then I have my service business, which is just a small side business where I keep a few customers and maintain their tanks. But that is a job in itself, having to invoice them, you know, bid on jobs, do the actual service itself. So, you know, that takes time. And then the last job I would say is YouTube. So filming videos every week when I'm doing 2 videos a week, filming, setting everything up, you know, breaking it down, editing videos, all that kind of stuff. That takes a lot of time as well. In addition, I have this fish room, I have the gym, I've got a family. I am burning the candle on both ends, and I basically have come to a point where I need to make some changes. I spend a lot of time down here, and I enjoy it, but I want to be able to spend time down here when I want to spend time down here, and not so much spend time down here when I have to, which is doing water changes. So what does that mean, and where does that leave us? Does that mean I'm going to shut down my fish room? No, I love my fish room. This is my fortress of solitude, and this is where I like to come and hang out. It's warm down here, it's fun, I love fish, love talking to all of you guys, like doing Instagram live streams down here. But I want to make it easier on me when I'm down here and spend less time doing maintenance. So one of the things I'm going to start doing over the next few months is I'm going to start weaning off my breeding program. So a lot of you know that I breed African cichlids, and I breed them for profit, but it is a lot of work. And to be honest with you, the amount of money that I make is really, it's not that much when it comes down to what I paid for food and all the time that I spent. By the time I sell fish to a fish store, or if I sell them to an individual, I'm not making that much money. It kind of just pays for itself. So I want to kind of reallocate my time and do things that are more fun for me. And if I am going to breed fish, I want to breed fish that are going to be a little bit more profitable, so that the time that I spend on breeding those fish is, you know, rewarded in more monetary value of those fish, and also breed fish that are a little bit less taxing as far as time is concerned. One of the things that I do breed is Neolamprologus multifasciatus. That's the shell-dwelling cichlid, the small shell dwellers from Lake Tanganyika. Those are high in demand, they're hard to find, and when I sell those fish, I sell them at a very good price, meaning that I sell them at a fair price. I always make sure that I sell them at less than what someone would have to pay if they were like, you know, ship them or something like that, because I want to give people a good deal. But even when I'm giving people a good deal, I'm making 5 or 6 times as much money on a small multi than I am an African cichlid. So even though they are African cichlids, it's a different kind of African cichlid. So I'm going to start focusing more on stuff like that. Maybe the Pseudotropheus solosi. I am breeding some dragon blood peacocks, and I've decided to set up one of my 40 breeders as a dragon blood only tank. So in the past I talked about not doing any line breeding and kind of just doing a lot of breeding of different types of peacocks like I have behind me in this 90 gallon. But I've decided that I think that if I just focus on the dragon bloods, they're easier to sell. The males and the females sell for dragon bloods, whereas with other peacocks I can pretty much only sell the males, and I either have to give away the females or find someone to take them. So that kind of cuts down on the profit, where the dragon bloods I can sell the females and the males. I'll probably still keep a small tank of just some regular peacock females and do some different colors as well, but I'm not going to have so many tanks dedicated to Malawi peacocks. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got like 10 tanks dedicated to peacocks, and it's really too much. I want to have maybe like just the 40-gallon breeder with the dragon bloods, and maybe just this 90 gallon behind me and 1 or 2 other tanks. So maybe just about 4 tanks or so that has peacocks in there, and that's it. And then everything else is going to be something that's less work and more fun. So what do I mean by less work and more fun? That means me keeping fish that I've never kept before, keeping fish that I've always wanted to keep and never had a chance to, or just kind of experimenting with some different types of fish. What I also want to do is I want to get rid of my 10 gallons down here. So in this area, I've got a bunch of 10 gallons on the bottom rack of my racks here in the fish room, and those 10-gallon tanks are a lot of work because I got to do water changes on those more frequently. So I'm going to replace those 10-gallon tanks with 40-gallon breeders. That way I can fit more water in that same space, and then I'll put a fish in there that has a less bio load, so I'm not having to do as many water changes. Maybe set up some plants and some light so that I can have some plants down there, which would also reduce the amount of water changes and work that I'm doing. The way that it's set up right now, I'm doing water changes in most of my tanks about every 4 days or so, and I go around with a little wet dry pen, and I write on the tank just to let myself know when I last did a water change, so I can keep that up. And then I just kind of go on a rotation of every 4 days or so. So for the most part, most of the tanks down here, excluding the Neolamprologus multifasciatus, excluding the Tanganyikan tank, and excluding my planted live bear tank, most everything else gets water changes every 4 days. Although the mudskipper paludarium, I do it about once every 8 days, just because I've got a less bio load in there, and that seems to be working just fine. So anyway, I'm going to get into some different types of fish, and I don't know what yet. So if you guys have any ideas, if you want to, shoot me a message or comment down below as far as what you'd like to see on my channel, what you think I should get into, just keep in mind that I'll probably stay with freshwater or brackish water. Maybe I'll do another brackish water tank, and then not going to do any salt or reef tanks down here. I have my little nano reef tank upstairs, and that's kind of fine for now. So anyway, that's what's going on. Sorry for the long video. I've been talking for about 15 minutes now, but I just wanted to share with you guys what's going on, what's going through my head. It's a lot of work, guys, and I enjoy it, but it's it's a labor of love. But I want to ultimately just be able to enjoy my time down here rather than having to spend my time down here. So I'm going to get more into different tanks, different fish. And for those of you that are worried that I'm getting away from African cichlids, don't worry, I am not. I love my African cichlids. I love my Lake Malawi cichlids. I've got a beautiful Mbuna tank right there, 75 gallons. That's not going anywhere. I've got my Pseudotropheus solosi, Mbunas, African cichlids. I want to raise those up. I've got my peacocks, African cichlids. I'll probably keep this 90 gallon as a peacock tank for now. That might change in the future, and maybe I'll just do some small tanks for breeding and change this into something more fun in the future. And then I've got my display tank upstairs, which I love, and that's not going to change at all. Love my African cichlids. So for those of you that are worried that I'm going to shift away from Africans, I'm not. I can't, because my logo is African cichlid, right? So I've got my peacock as my logo, so I'm always going to have some type of African cichlids. But I do want to do some different things. I talked about this in the past. If you have any ideas on what you think I should keep, brackish water, freshwater, etc., planted, just think about 40 gallons or less. I'd love to read your thoughts, your ideas. and see what happens. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I gotta tell you that every time you guys like my video, the more likes I get, the more YouTube likes what's going on with my channel, and they will then promote my videos, and that helps me. That helps me create more content, better content, maybe even get better audio. So I don't know if it sounds different today or not, but I just got a new microphone today that cost quite a bit of money, so I set that up and did this video today with a new microphone. If you guys like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. It does help me. I appreciate it. Your comments are appreciated. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you on the next one.